Hello, everybody. I'm so excited. I'm on Flex Week, which means I take off a week a month, and we're on that week right now. But I had to come on and talk to Real Talk Kim. So, Kim, I'm loving that we're here today, and I'm loving that we're going to get to be able to unpack both a combination of being women of marketplace, women of business, women of transformation, but also the fact that so many people struggle to be able to find their conversation. Like it's like they keep God in the back closet when they're consulting him all the time while they're actually building businesses or building their movements in the world. Hey Faith, how are you? Okay, so first and foremost, I would love to hear, who are you? What's your backstory on how you even exploded online? That you're there and you're there in a big way and you have a big voice, but how did all this start?
Well, I was raised in a very, very strict religion, and they basically said that, women couldn't preach. We were just good for babies. Really all we did was take care of our husbands. And I watched my mom over my whole life. She was the best mom ever. Her and my daddy were married 52 years until he died, passed away 2 years ago. And I watched this woman that was so full of life, really, honestly, just put her dreams aside. And I started at a very young age not understanding it. Like how come men can be so great, but yet we women are the ones that birth life, And so I was in this, trying to find out who it was. I'm sorry, y'all. That is my dog. And he just,
no, that's okay.
So sorry.
My dog I just put out there because she's all over me.
Well, he is out there. I'll just hear him because he's bad.
Okay, so keep going. So
go ahead.
So well, start where you were. So it's like, so you watched your parents. What a great role model, because lots of us don't have that.
I watched it forever. I watched religion be very judgmental, very hard. It was only us going to heaven. It's like just all of these putting God in a box. So I didn't really know who God was, Shanda, until I was like 36. Like I went to Bible school. I was raised on a church pew, and really ran away from home at like 19, got married. If I saw him on the street, I wouldn't know what he looked like. Anything that I was told I couldn't do, I did. And it was trying to find this peace, trying to find this, where do I fit? Because I don't feel like I fit the way mom fit, And so I ended up getting married. I ran away from Bible school and got married again. And we were raised, if you get divorced, you're going to hell on a slip and slide. Like you're going to hell on a slip and slide. Your divorce is the cardinal sin. So I already thought I'm going to hell anyway. Might as well live my best life, right? And so I stayed married to this incredible man for 18 years. We were actually in ministry, still didn't really know who God was, just played church like most people. And at 36 years old, alcohol came in from 30 on until I was 36, and it just wreaked havoc in my family. And I remember
alcohol, meaning you started to drink or other people around you started?
I was nay-naying and not pray-praying, Shanda. It was both of us, but he got addicted to it, and it just ruined our marriage, ruined our home. This dude that had more class and anointing in his fingertip, all of a sudden he is just gone, like just out. He's still. But here's what God showed me, Shanda. I had to move back in with my mom and dad at 36, and I was devastated because I was full of pride. I had literally started an interior design company. It was banking. I had brought all of the best interior designers I could around me. It was just in me. Favor was all around me all the time. And I remember sitting on my couch at 36, and I said, God, I know you're there, but I don't know you. And I'm 18 years married to this man that he's my God, and we're through. I can't even buy cheese with my credit the way I'm operating right now if I leave. And I remember God said to me, for the first time I heard him speak to me, he said, will you trust me? And I thought, well, I trust you. I don't even know who you are. And at that point, I moved back with my mom and dad. And I remember I went on a journey with God. And Shanda, I found out who God was for me. I mean, it took me, I gave God a year and he took like 5. So until I was like 40, I was still working at Bloomingdale's. But I found out who God was. You know, I found out that God's not a genie in a bottle. You know, it takes class participation. And I remember him saying in the process, I said, God, if you heal me, because he told me, I was like, take this pain away from me. He's like, no, you got to get up and walk away from it. You need to get up. You need to walk away from it. You need to heal. You need to break the generational curses off of your family, off for your boy's sake. And I remember on that journey, it was like a whole year where I really intensively went in with God. And you know what? Get in, Kingston. You're messing everything up. Get in. And so he looking at me like, what you going to do? And in that season, Shanda, I found out who God was, and I got free from people. And people, what I found was people was what was keeping me stuck, because I was caring more what people thought about me than what God knew about me. And I got free.
I got to ask you something about that, because you know, people, I know that when I was growing our company and I wanted to bring God in, and people would say to me, well, you can't do that and teach business, because if you do, you'll turn people off. Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of what you just said, because it's like, so, because what you just said, it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, so turn people off, but maybe I'll turn people on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I did, Shanda. I literally knew that the whole world was watching me, because we were very known in the church world. And when we walked in the doors, people were talking about me. And I remember I wanted to clap back. I wanted to defend myself. And I remember God spoke to me. He said, stop. He said, you live so nobody believes it, and I'll vindicate you. Let your fruit outlive their lies, and start talking about me. Because I wouldn't talk about him either, because I knew people knew who the old Kim was. I was out here being a rebel because of Christians, you know, hypocrites. Yeah. And God's ever said, no, you know, you were being bad because you were searching for me all this time. And so what I did when I came back, I started talking about Jesus. And girl, I literally, for 4 years, I would sit in my car. I would drive to Bloomingdale's, because I worked in Estee Lauder Cosmetics. And I would drive 1 hour and 1 hour coming home, and I'd have nothing but Jesus, preaching, blogs, podcasts like this one. I'd be listening to people that were helping me get better. I didn't listen to any music. I was just having my own college in that car. And I was retraining myself. I got out of what religion said, and I went on a journey to find out what God said about me. And I was changing, and I was getting so free. Depression was falling off of me. I was not bitter anymore. I wasn't caring what people thought. I wasn't hunting down. I wasn't an FBI agent looking for what are people saying about me. Offense was falling off of me. Depression was falling off of me. And all of a sudden I was getting these ideas. You know, I was starting to sell t-shirts on the side. My hustle became holy. And God literally began to restart my life in such a way that I was doing a video every day. I would sit in my car and I'd do 2-second videos, 2-minute videos. And I'd be like, you're sitting on the side of the road in your knockoff Bentley. Cause I was driving a Chrysler, and it was like a joke, a 300 Chrysler. It looks like a Bentley, but it's so tore up. I'm sitting on the side of the road overheating every day. And so I did this one video one day, and I was like, you want to give up today because nobody's fighting for you. You feel all alone. You feel so misunderstood, but you're not going to give up. You're going to get up. I started speaking from where I was and where I was coming from. I didn't wait till I got it together, Shanda. I started bringing people on this journey with me, and that video went viral. And now I'm a Jesus girl. You know,
so let me unpack this for a minute. First of all, you guys who are watching, this is even interesting, because I was watching. I'm like, usually we have hundreds and hundreds of people on the live, which is really interesting. That, well, maybe it's because it's streaming in other groups, but the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because I had a moment where I was like, where is everybody? You know, and I share that with you guys transparently, because there's these little things that distract you from really what you're doing right now, right? So you guys who are watching right now, just stop and ask yourself, when you're listening to Kim speak, right? When you're listening to her speak right now, what's opening up, right? What's opening up for you right now? And ask yourself, how many times have you allowed yourself to get distracted versus going all in, right? You did a video that went viral. I did a video in real estate. Nobody knew my name. They still wouldn't know my name in real estate. And I did this hair flip where I would just do this hair flip, and I was so embarrassed about doing a video online. It went not viral, but it got passed around to the right groups that had millions and millions of followers. I ended up doing $170 million in real estate in 15 months. I share that story still in disbelief. When I started this coaching company, I had to put that up on the wall because I still made up excuses for the fact that there's no way that I could have done that. But as long as I felt like an imposter, I still believed that there was something that I did and needed to do again and didn't think I could do it again. Right? So everybody just stop right now and ask yourself, what are you believing for in your life?
Come on.
And where are you stopping it because you're trying to control it? You know? And so when you did that video and it went viral, Kim, you know, my question for you is what happened after that?
I didn't know we were live, so I'm sharing it right now.
Oh, that's hilarious. No, but it's
I didn't even know it was live. I'm over here hunting it down like we're live because there's a lot of people that would love this right now.
And that's a great example for you guys who are watching. Share it. You know what I mean? Share this. But it's so interesting because normally we have, you know, we'll do a live and we'll have anywhere between 500 and 1,000 comments. And I'm like, where is everybody? That's so bizarre. You know, just so bizarre to me. But anyway, so you guys share it, and get rid of that spiritual, demonic, whatever trying to suppress this conversation. Let's move it out. But
come
that
on,
went,
preach. You preached on that. You just actually got the nugget there.
Well, yeah, it's a big deal, right? So like speak into when somebody is still in this conversation of they're doing it on their own, because there's a lot of it could be anger, frustration, angst, control, being mean to people you love because things are always breaking when you're building it. And so how did you break out of that and get deep in the ability to just let things scale and grow?
You know, I was one of those girls that if I would have died, nobody would come to my funeral. I mean, I was so broken. I was just so broken and so feeling like I was a black sheep of the family, you know, like I had embarrassed the world. And I had to get to a place where, because I was 38, 39, like I'd already felt like ruined my whole life. My life was over. I lost everything at 36. And at 40 years old, when this video went viral and I started I went from $400 a week. I wrote my first book at 41. I was in special ed my whole life. I didn't know where commas went. And all of a sudden it did $30,000 in the first month. Pre-sales, because here's what everybody needs to understand on here today. You can get all the college degrees you want. You can have more degrees than a thermometer. But if you don't know who you are and you fall apart every time you ain't got a like, or you don't have a retweet, or you don't have somebody supporting you and your family. Nobody supported me and my family when I first wrote that book, Beautifully Broken, because they remembered me being the bad girl. They were like, here she is, just getting it together for a month again. You've got to stay focused even when people aren't supporting you, because when God sees your heart, when God sees that he can trust you, that you're not going to be embarrassed to him, that you're going to stay authentic to who you are, that you're not going to try to change your stripes to fit into circles, he will move you from the back of the line to the front of the line, because he has the keys to everything. He's the one that can literally put you in places that you never saw your feet. You literally put you in rooms you never thought you would be in. But you got to find out who you are, because if you don't find out who you are, you will fall apart every time something doesn't go the way you want it to. So that's how I did it, Shanda. I just literally said, God, I trust you. I would tell him this every day. God, I trust you. I trust you. I know Romans 8:28 said that you're going to work all things together for my good. I don't know how you going to work with the mess that I gave you, but here we go. And you know what he did, Shanda? He turned it into a bestseller at 42 years old. I didn't quit till I was 40.
Okay, so everybody needs to hear this though. Like, okay, so you didn't sit back and just pray. You got into action. And so I've noticed a difference. And you all, if this is for all of us, right? Every single one of us. It's like there's a difference when we go all in, like full faith. Because there's faith, like guys, real talk, Kim, I'm gonna go real talk Shanda for a second.
Good.
I am so tired of people saying, I'm going to just, if it's God's will, it's going to happen. And I'm like, you don't know God's will then.
Because it is God's will.
Exactly. Right. So when you prayed and you were courageous enough
Yeah.
to put your brokenness into a book and put it out there, that vulnerability, that humility to put it out there, right? That's the humility that the world is missing a lot of times, because they think they need to have it all together because they read that book that you wrote and they're like, oh my gosh, I resonate. And it's so well written. It's so this, it's so that. I'm not that, right?
Yeah.
And so you had to get in the game. What did get in the game actually look like?
Man, it was being intentional. It was stopping myself from being a victim in my own story. It was stopping myself from being mad at myself because I didn't start sooner, because I got ahead of God. It was getting myself to a place where I didn't already, because it's hard to trust God when you already have in your mind what you want him to say. Ooh. It's hard to trust God, right? It's hard to trust God when all of a sudden he's trying to turn your scars into stars and you're wanting it now, because you're thinking, oh my God, my years are going by. I'm getting too old. Who's going to listen to me? The millennials are going to take over. I don't have a studio. I don't have this. All of these things when you've got a phone, right? I started with the phone. I put a phone right there. I went and got me an Anchor app. Nobody could tell me nothing, Shanda. When I saw God moving in my life, I didn't care because God will send complete strangers to support you when he knows he can trust you. Because that's what he does. He begins to allow you to be a domino effect. I went and got my Anchor app, which is a podcast app for all of y'all. It's for dummies. Anybody can do it. I'd lay my phone right here and I would talk about how you going to get up today. You ain't going to lay there, because getting up, God ain't going to move your big old thick thigh. You got to get up. You got to walk out of wherever you want, whatever you don't like in your life. You got to begin to walk out of it and realize that even if you feel like a turtle stuck in peanut butter, don't you stay. Do it depressed, do it scared, but do it.
You have a great way, though, of speaking so freely. And so if somebody wants to bridge this conversation, they want to start pushing a movement forward, whether their movement is God's ministry, or whether it's to save marriages, or whether it's to teach people to be better parents, how do you bridge that? Real talk, but it's like, so you got right with God and said, okay, I know my identity now. So now there's no more question. I know who I am. I'm going to stop having people tell me. Nobody gets to mentor to me what I get to say or don't get to say, right? And so what do you think had everything explode around you? Because like, it's just, you're so likable. Like people just like what you say. What is that?
Nerves. Because I'm so loud. I'm like, I'm so loud and excited, and you either love me or you don't. I don't know. I think what I did, Shanda, was I got my heart right. I think that is something that only you can do. And God deals with the matter of the heart. Like, everybody's out here judging people by what they do and how they're living, and you're over here judging people, which means your heart's probably worse than theirs. That you're over here wondering how come people are being blessed, and it's because God blesses everybody. Just he don't dislike people just because you do. So I spent so many months of my life, Shanda, literally laying in my bed going, God, I turn the TV off, man. I'd be like, God, I've been praying for my ex to get killed with a train, and I know that ain't of you. I need you to help me forgive. So I started there. God, help me forgive. God, let me forgive anybody in my life that's hurt me, because we all are human and people hurt us, and betrayal hurts us. And we go through life holding on to it turns into jealousy. It turns into offense. And I just started there. God, let me forgive, because here's the key, Shanda. If your heart is right, everything that comes out of your mouth is right. So God blesses it because it's right. There's no offense. Before I even post something, I'm like, am I doing this subliminally? Is there something in my heart that's not, I have my heart right. And I think that's where we have to start.
I just said to my husband, we have a leadership training, which is like deliverance. I mean, it really is like deliverance. Whether someone is into God or not, it frees them up of demonic and spiritual warfare and all of that. And then they go into the world and they create these insane results. But I said to my husband, I said, before I owned the training, I did it 15 years ago. And I said, it got me to be the leader, like how Jesus is an amazing leader. It got me to step up like a leader so I could take action. But nothing really exploded until my heart started to get clean. Right. And the words, like, people want the perfect words. And I always say there's no perfect words. It's what's inside you. And if what's inside you isn't either, if you're totally broken and messed up, then share that from a place of transformation as you're growing through it. Right. And so I love that you said that. And I wanted to ground that, because people are trying to script their way to the perfect copy or the perfect post or the perfect, webinar or the perfect event. And then they're wondering, why is nobody showing up? But my question to you is, was there a time when nobody showed up for you?
Yes.
Okay. So talk about that moment. And when did you see God's hand start to come on? Right? Like, where was it always? What is it?
Well, I've always kind of felt like I had favor because I've been fearless. And I believe when you're fearless, doors open. You can't do great things scared. And I think I was always kind of fearless because I was just one that would do things with my knees knocking. Hello, got married at 18. It was always just jumping.
Girl, nobody knows this, but I eloped when I was I got married for a green card in America because I'm Canadian. And then I felt like I woke up in the morning and I was like, I cannot stand in front of an INS person and lie to them. Like, God's like, no. And I had to get it annulled, but I wouldn't even kiss my friend. It was in a Vegas drive-through. And they're like, you make us the bride. I'm like, I can't kiss my darling. Like, he's my friend. It was awful. So
these are the stories people want to hear, because somewhere in all of us, Shanda, we've been crazy, and we just want to know that God can heal our crazy.
Yeah. And everybody, what's your crazy? Go in the chat and tell us some crazy. Don't leave us hanging out here. Some crazy. Put it in the chat. Okay. So nobody showed up at one point, right? Did you get this vision to grow this movement for God? Like, did you get this vision to become an author and you were supposed to go out there and speak? Like, how did you know this was from God? Like, what happened?
Like, I honestly thought I'd messed everything up when I got divorced at 36, because I thought God took his hands off of me, because that's what religion said.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just thought I would never be in ministry. I would never be able to preach. I'll never be able to teach. Nobody's going to listen to me. What do I have to say? And I was known as a relationship expert. So I'm like, what do I have to say here? And I remember God said, you're the very one to say what I want you to say, because you've walked through some things, and people would rather listen to someone with a limp than someone that acts like they've got it together. And so that's what I did. But people didn't show up. Like, when I lost everything at 36, it was crickets, because people want to ride with you as long as you got gas in the car. But honey, the minute that gas is at where they at. But what we have to understand, Shanda, is that with new seasons, with elevation comes separation. And the people that were riding with you in that season, most of them are not going to be able to see you, the new you. You know what I'm saying? Because still remember the old you, and they keep bringing up your past. So I had to be okay with the 2 or 3 years of crickets, where it was just me and my boys and my mom and dad. And I would sneak into church and run as quick as I could to get out, because my daddy was the preacher. I had to realize that either I was going to be okay with no one supporting me. When I wrote My Beautifully Broken, not one single person shared it on their news feed. It was.
So then what happened?
Well, it was strangers. It was like when I started doing those videos every day. Here's what all y'all need to understand watching this today. You can't want big things in your life, or even if you're working at CVS, praise the Lord. That's what God's using, right? I was working at Bloomingdale's making $9 an hour. I didn't want to stay there for the rest of my life, because I never got vacation with my kids, because I was working retail hours. I needed to work myself out and into something else. I didn't know what I wanted to work myself out and into until, listen to this, y'all, when I felt the urge to sit in my car on my brakes and do videos, because I turned the comments off. I didn't want to see what people had to say about me. I just knew that I was feeling a prompting to do a video. It was my free Oprah. I didn't have to pay nobody any money. And I started literally 1-minute videos, y'all. And I would say something just like, you want to give up today? Let me just encourage you. I believe there's somebody out there today that's wanting to quit on life. You're wanting to quit on your marriage. You want to quit on your kids. That's all I would say. It wasn't even that revelatory, but I did it every single day, even if I didn't have anything to say, I would still get on and say, I'm just checking on y'all, do a pulse check today, and I would upload it. And those videos began to grow my audience because I was intentional. You have to be intentional. Even when you don't feel like getting up, you got to get up and you got to go for it. Even when you're not getting any support, people are supporting you. Even if you're only getting 10 likes, somebody's seeing it and you're talking somebody off a bridge with your story. You ain't got to wait until you get it together. You just got to start moving and work yourself out of it, right? That's what I did.
Well, and what I love about what you said is where Kim's focus was at. Yes, it was on her showing up and the prompting. When you said that, I used to go in my car, and that's why I went like this. I was like, I'd feel a prompting and it would like the energy would grow in me, you know, and then I would just go do it. And when I started Heartcore Business, Kim, like I had a great company that I was working for somebody else, and I was flying to, like, I should have been good, but I kept this prompting to like go and coach, and I'd be in my car and I would be coaching people for like $50 an hour. Meanwhile, I'm like flying to London for 2 weeks out of every month, staying in the Hyatt across from Hyde Park, and like just like two totally different, like $50, like, and then $40 million deals. And it was such a crazy moment. What?
One was your purpose.
Well, yeah. And it kept pulling me.
Yeah.
It kept pulling me. And then you have to have the courage to jump. I cried for weeks when I jumped into this company, and God just showed me $5,000 a month. Now we're an 8-figure company, taking another company public right now. And I say that from great humility, y'all. Like, nobody knows who I am. Half my friends, they'll come to our events and see thousands of entrepreneurs there. And like, I'll be seeing Jesus behind the curtain. Like one year I was coming out from behind the curtain. I want to take my Bible, and I felt unsafe for some reason. For all you guys who ever feel unsafe about speaking to God or speaking about God out around maybe people of different faith or whatever, or no faith. You know, there's somebody messaging me right now. Their brother had a massive stroke, and they want to bring God in, and he's against it. And we're working through that. And now he's listening to my friend Rex Crane through a video today, you know, and just moving it forward. Right. Anyway, so like those moments of courage, I had to have the courage to jump and to leave the cushy job, and by the way, if the job wasn't the problem, it was I wasn't showing up the way he wanted me to show up. He had to get me out of my comfort zone, you know? And so like this whole conversation around like his will, he has his will, learn it. And then at that point, stop hiding when the prompting comes, you know, because it grows.
Yeah. Stop thinking you're not good enough, right, Shanda? Yeah. Stop thinking you're not ready. Stop thinking that you're not, who's going to listen to me? You're going to be so shocked how one day you will have nobody watching, and then the next there'll be 100,000. Like that's how God moves. He says in the word of God, those who are faithful in the little, I will give much. I will trust you with much, but I got to trust you with the little. Like if you can't even show up for them.
But what I love about what you're doing when you talk about the little is when so our audience is a lot of top level executives, leaders, and then entrepreneurs. And when I say go live every day, they're like, oh,
yes. I don't know why people are so scared of that, Shanda.
But they feel like it's too much. And so talk about that giving, because there's this conversation that people feel like I give, and I'm exhausted. And so then there's that trust with the little. Like, what coaching would you give to someone who's battling in that?
Well, you know, I always say if you're giving, and you're tired, then maybe you're giving to the wrong things, right? Who's to say that video, you going a minute or two a day, just to put it out there, something out there, it's not going to end up being, because your purpose, y'all, there's a lot of people that don't know what their purpose is. Your purpose is connected to whatever you had to fight like hell to get out of.
Ooh.
It is that thing that you have struggled with, whether it was a marriage or it's been learning disability or it's been being broker than a joke, whatever it is, your kids, it's getting up and showing up, and God gives you the ability to feel like today, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can't wait to do my video. He gives you the excitement. You always, you won't be tired, because God is not a God of chaos and confusion. 1 ounce of obedience will do more for you than all the prayer in the world. I'm telling you, if you just do the prompting, that thing, just try it. That thing that you're scared of is probably the thing you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. The thing that you don't want to do is probably, because here's why. The enemy cannot take you out. So he tries to wear you out. So he does it with things that aren't working, because he knows if you ever flip live and go live, you will touch millions of people versus 10.
That's so good. That's so good. Okay, let's wrap down over the next couple minutes. What's really important to you right now? And what's really important to Kim personally over the next year? Let's let everybody into another side of you and just think you personally. You're always pouring out with everybody, and I know that's important to you, and we know that. But like when you look back on 2022 and you look back on this year, what happened that just really blew the socks off you, where you're like, wow, that was one heck of a year?
Yeah. You know, in last year, I lost my dad, and I had two things that happened last year that I thought literally was going to take me out, because thieves don't rob empty vaults. The enemy isn't fighting you all because you're weak. He's fighting you because there's something that's a game-changing status for your family. You're the generational curse breaker. And so last year really found, 2 years ago, I really found me. And I'm walking in a new rhythm, a new assurance, a new God's opening doors to the world now, which is what I love. I've been praying. I want to get out of the church walls, and God is now opening up, you know, these places with, you know, big Rich Rosses and all these people that I would never have had access to talk about Jesus. And so that's really important to me, to be Jesus with skin on it. And everywhere I go, just make him very proud, make him more famous, make Jesus more famous. But you know what? This is my hobby. Loving people is my favorite hobby on the planet. Ooh. And so that's what I do. I pastor an incredible church, a whole woman, pastor an incredible church here in Atlanta, Georgia. I got 2 sons that are doing incredible. And it's just to keep building the world, to make them better as much as I can on my side of the planet. Keep my peace.
That's so good. I think I just saw Sean Boltz come out with a new book, or I think it's a new book, called Wired to Hear. And I something that I heard the Lord say to us last year was to shut down a big program that we were doing. Like, it was really the nuts and bolts to the company. And so I sat there and I said, okay, I'll do it. And we did do it. I actually am delivering the last mastermind to it in next week, and that will be complete. We invited all of the people who have ever done that training to come back and sit through it as the final end to that program. And we opened up a program called Mentor Me Live, and we brought on Kim. And I share this, you guys, not to say, look at what we're doing, to say, look at what you're doing. Yeah. You know, look at what you're doing. And so we created this new program, and the second call of every month is my friend Rex Crane, who, when he speaks, he people the other day, this woman was totally deaf, and she got her her hearing back. And people that are blind, I have a friend of mine who was given eight months to live with cancer. And I was like, no, we got on Zoom and we just prayed. And he calls me, if I was to play that message to y'all, you'd be freaking out. 'Cause he's just like, oh my gosh, freaking out. But he had to do work, right? He got prayed on, but then he had scripture that him and his wife multiple times a day just kept saying until it got in him. So I share this with everybody because we teach business, but we put faith in it. Yeah. You know, and not because you
got to, Shanda, you got to have faith, because you're making big moves. The more you go, the more you grow, the more scary it is.
Yeah.
So have faith.
Well, and our audiences, and this is just a permission for everybody to go all into whatever God's speaking on you. We have shamans, we have psychics, we have Christians, yes, we have Catholics, we have Jewish, we have Muslim, and we create a community that everybody can believe what they want to believe.
I love that.
And we speak the gospels, and we do that on the second week of every month. And it's part of their program. It's not a bonus. It's not a this. It's actually part of the curriculum. And so we do business strategy, then leadership. And I share this with everyone because there was a time that I honestly bought into the conversation that I was afraid to bring that Bible out on stage. And I put that Bible down. There are thousands of people in the audience. And I went to walk out. The only time this has ever happened, there was a 3D image of Jesus' face. Like it was massive. And I was like, I didn't have time to process it. I was just like, okay. I went and grabbed my Bible and walked it right back out on stage with me. And I had somebody who was doing channeling work and psychic work, and I was teaching her how to own her voice. Like, I'm not prejudiced or judgmental on what somebody does for a living. And it was awesome because she got to stand in front of me and give her message. And I'm like, either you're going to enroll me in this, or I'm going to enroll you. And God has this massive plan for you, and your gift built in scripture could do this. And it was so awesome because I got to be the audience of the world. Well, all the sound went out in the whole in our auditorium, or in our ballroom. Our sound team is going, there's no, everywhere in the hotel, the lights are on, the sounds are on, but in our massive ballroom, everything's gone out. So now I'm 5'4", y'all. And so I'm screaming over thousands of people, and I'm having her scream. And then that night she went and she baptized herself. Now, let me be really clear. I'm not trying to get people baptized. I think it's awesome. I'm not trying to convert anybody. No, I'm trying to teach people how to have a relationship with God, but how to move their movements forward as far as marketing and talking and being whatever they are in that moment and whatever they believe to be true. And it's so cool to have a community like that. So it doesn't have to look like you have to push a Christian community or a Catholic community, or maybe it does for you. You know what I mean? But I think when things start to come together, and correct me if I'm wrong, or at least if you see a different angle in this, Kim, but it's like when things start coming together, it's because whatever step you're in, you're being completely faithful and all in.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes. And that's when he opens new doors, right? You got to pass these tests. And the first one is movement. I love that, Shanda. You know what's so funny, y'all, is that neither one of us really knew each other.
Yeah.
And I love what you're doing, because this is my heartbeat. You know, it's my heartbeat to not be, just be the best at whatever God's called you to be.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's really awesome.
So good. Any final words for the people who are watching?
Yeah, you know, I am just honored that I got to be here today. And if just one person today decided, you know what, it ain't too late for me. If Real Talk Kim didn't start till she was 40 years old and now she's 49, I got 4 bestsellers out there, a podcast that's syndicated. I travel all over the world and preach incredible and teach events all over the world. And then God can do it for you. And he'll do it in the rapid amount of time that you had on your dream board. He will renew time, restore time, and give you back restitution. He just needs you to get up and believe in yourself. And you be your biggest cheerleader today. If you're not dead, God ain't done. What are you waiting on?
So good. What book would you recommend people pick up of yours if they haven't yet, if they are like an entrepreneur or a business person? What would you recommend?
I think Shut Hell Up is a great book, because it's talking about your inner dialogue. The enemy gets us here. Feelings buried alive never die. That book's awesome, but it ain't mine. But I talk about those feelings, you know. And then I love My Beautifully Broken as well. You can read that one in about 2 hours, but it'll just give you lots of encouragement. That one's self-published, but the Shut Hell Up's all over, everywhere, anywhere you buy books. You can get it.
So good. Awesome. All right, you guys, I hope that this was a great interview with Real Talk Kim. It was our first time actually getting together. And I hope this resonated with you guys. And if so, share it with a couple people that you love. I take my best friends on a journey with me all the time, so I'm not growing somewhere they're not. And if you want more of her, you could always ask questions and we'll start probing her for something new, okay? All right, you guys. Bye.